Just 2 days before the world even knew baby Lilibet was born, someone had already snatched up Lilibet.com. Can you believe that? The Queen herself didn't even know her great-granddaughter's name yet, but the domain was locked, loaded, and ready for business. That wasn't luck, it was a calculated move. Author Tom Bower spent 2 intense years digging into moments exactly like this. He talked to around 80 people, many too scared to go public. That says a lot. Whole chapters of his book never even made it to print because British privacy laws blocked him from sharing details tied to Meghan's past, like yacht parties and exclusive Soho House connections. Critics say parts of her past were quietly wiped from sight. What got published was already shocking, but what stayed hidden, that's the real jaw-dropper.
Has never really been properly reported and examined and investigated.
A huge number of sources wouldn't speak to you, people who were aligned with Meghan. Is that true?
Absolutely. She did her very best and her staff to stop people talking to me, but was not totally successful.
That single domain name hinted at something way bigger. Fast forward to June 2021, Harry finally calls the Queen and says, "We've named her Lilibet." That's not just any name, it was the Queen's private nickname, used by Prince Philip for nearly 70 years. Reports said the Queen wasn't mad about the name itself, it was how it happened. Harry didn't ask, he announced. When the BBC reported that he never got her blessing, palace tension went through the roof. The response? Total chaos. Legal threats flew from every direction. But let's be real, if Harry truly had the Queen's approval, wouldn't Buckingham Palace have just said so? Instead, there were threats, then silence. The BBC stood firm. Harry's team never showed proof. And remember, the domain was bought before any family chat even happened. And here's the kicker, it doesn't even sound like something Harry would do.
And Meghan herself.
In the months before she met Harry, was setting up paparazzi pictures in London. She now acts as if the paparazzi, literally the devil incarnate.
She begged the paparazzi to photograph her and they wouldn't. And when they did, she says, "Oh, I don't want to, I'm hurt." And that ridiculous story about how they first met, the whole thing was a tissue of inaccuracies, to be polite.
Because what do you make of that? Because as you know, Harry was always very insistent.
Harry spent 30 decades inside a royal system where money moves and business plays were totally off limits. He wasn't thinking about domains or branding. Someone else clearly was. Meghan, though, she'd been shaping her image since her teen years, from her lifestyle blog to constant networking and that polished public persona. Every move was planned. She plays life like chess, always calculating her next step.
I tried very hard to get her point of view, but she did her best to prevent that happening.
Naming their baby after the Queen's most private nickname wasn't just sentimental, it was a power move. That name carried serious global weight. Think about it. Branding, media rights, deals, merch. It's a goldmine. Critics saw that domain purchase, made before the Queen even knew, as no coincidence. It screamed business first, family second. Tom Bower tried to dig deeper into Meghan's pre-Harry world, and that's where things turned intense. Whispers have long followed her inner circle from her 20s, talk of private yacht trips across the Mediterranean, invite-only gatherings, and secretive elite events. Insiders trace many of those scenes back to Soho House, the spot where fame, money, and influence all mixed behind closed doors.
First of all, Tom, why Meghan?
Well, because she posed a challenge to the royal family, and she's a fascinating person. I mean, she's a person who started from nothing and has become a world global star, and that route to the top.
One name that constantly surfaces is Marcus Anderson, a top Soho House director and someone long rumored to be very close to Meghan. People say he opened doors for her that most young actresses never even see. Rooms full of power players and opportunities that change careers overnight. And here's the wild part. Around 60 Soho House members reportedly attended her royal wedding. That wasn't random. That was loyalty and deep connections on display. Bower had sources ready to spill everything about that chapter, but British privacy laws shut it all down before the truth could hit print. You can't print a single line in the UK without solid proof that can survive a courtroom battle. Even when multiple witnesses agree, if there's no airtight evidence, it's gone. Huge sections of Tom Bower's work were chopped out, including parts about how Meghan funded her lifestyle before her Canadian TV days, the elite circles she mixed in, and those private parties packed with power players. All of it vanished, buried for good.
If you could choose one thing for people to know the truth about you, what would that one thing be?
The one thing, oh gosh, what's the one thing?
Is ever intended to hurt my family.
Bower made one thing clear. Meghan is a pro at reinvention. She cuts ties fast when something doesn't fit her plan. Her dad, gone. Her first marriage, over. Old friends who didn't match her new life, quietly left behind. The breaks were sharp, clean, no second chances. And the people who knew her back then mostly stay silent, maybe by choice or maybe from legal caution. Critics say her past didn't just fade, it was wiped clean to make space for the perfect Duchess image. Then came October 2018. Meghan landed in Australia shining in nearly $290,000 worth of Princess Diana's jewelry. That wasn't a quiet tribute, it was a bold, deliberate statement. She wore Diana's Cartier watch and eye-catching pieces that instantly grabbed headlines. From that moment, a clear pattern formed. Every trip, every major event, whether in Nigeria or Colombia, the jewelry told a story.
It happened a few weeks ago, earlier this month, here at our cottage. Just a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cozy night. It was.
Publicists made sure everyone knew exactly whose jewels she wore. It wasn't coincidence, it was branding. Each piece became part of her image, part of her power move. Princess Diana's legacy turned into Meghan's ultimate symbol. Princess Diana's compassion was real. She hugged AIDS patients when fear ruled the world. She walked through active minefields in Angola and sat beside people in pain, often with no cameras around. That wasn't PR, that was raw humanity, built over years of genuine care. Tom Bower makes that clear. But Meghan, critics say, completely misread that playbook. Diana's power didn't come from glamour, it came from heart. You can't inherit that by wearing her watch. Legacy isn't borrowed, it's earned, moment by moment. Some critics even claim Meghan doesn't just look up to Diana, she tries to stand beside her in royal history. And that's exactly where longtime royal watchers push back hard. They lived through Diana's real struggles. They know the difference between heartfelt devotion and a strategy wrapped in sparkle. Sure, the jewelry shines, but Diana's influence came from her soul, not her style. Without that same depth, those heirlooms start to look more like props than powerful symbols. Then came winter 2017 at Sandringham. A weekend insiders say changed everything. It was a royal shooting party with Harry's old schoolmates in attendance. Reports claim they made a few jokes Meghan didn't like, and she called them out right then and there. That one moment quietly shifted the vibe and maybe even the direction of Harry's inner circle. From that weekend on, some of his friends supposedly started calling her the fun police. What came next hit way deeper. Reports claim Meghan pushed Harry to step back from his entire old crew. By the time their wedding happened, several of his longtime friends were nowhere to be seen at the private evening reception, the most personal part of the whole day. That silence spoke louder than words. People started spotting a clear pattern. Someone new enters her life, and suddenly the old faces vanish one by one. It didn't just look like protection, it looked like isolation. Fast forward to California. Harry's miles away from London, away from the friends who knew him best. No old mates, no royal safety net, just Meghan and a tight, carefully controlled inner circle. And as Bower notes, this wasn't new behavior. She'd done it before, cutting off her dad, closing her first marriage clean, and letting old friendships fade once they didn't fit the plan. To critics, it's a pattern. When something no longer aligns with her path, it's gone. No delay, no emotion, no rewind. Every chapter closed, every tie cut, every step mapped out for what comes next. Critics say this started long before Harry ever entered the picture. They believe she knows exactly how to tighten her circle, mute outside voices, and quietly remove anyone who might challenge her story. Step by step, the past fades, and now Harry stands as the biggest example of it. Then came March 2021, the Oprah interview that stopped the world. Over 50 million viewers tuned in. Tom Bower dissected that broadcast line by line and claimed he found 17 statements that didn't match public records or verified timelines. That's not a small number, it's huge. One big example? The so-called secret backyard wedding. Meghan told Oprah that she and Harry were married 3 days before the official ceremony, just them and the Archbishop of Canterbury in their garden. It sounded romantic, emotional, and real. But soon after, the Archbishop himself cleared things up. It never happened legally. What actually took place was just a rehearsal, not a wedding. The only real ceremony was at St. George's Chapel. End of story. And that detail mattered. Meghan's version made the royal wedding seem like a staged performance, while the real one was hidden away. But the legal record says otherwise. Then came the talk about Archie. The timing, the conversations, how certain moments were framed. Tom Bower claims those timelines just don't match the official documents. Every mismatch, he says, adds another layer of doubt to Meghan's on-camera story. Bower also argues that those controversial conversations Meghan mentioned during the Oprah interview weren't actually linked the way she made them sound. And that's just 2 examples. He says there were 15 more inconsistencies scattered throughout the entire special. Why does it matter so much? Because over 50 million people watched that interview. They formed powerful opinions that completely reshaped how the world saw the royal family. Viewers walked away shocked, emotional, and divided, especially on Meghan's claims about how she was treated and the disturbing conversations she described. But if key parts of that story don't line up with verified facts, critics say that's not just a memory mix-up, it looks a whole lot like narrative control. Bower doesn't hold back. Bower believes Meghan built a powerful victim narrative, one that doesn't fully match the timelines or records. And once that story went global, it stuck like glue. Then came her clash with the fashion world. Edward Enninful, the former editor of British Vogue, reportedly already had a major cover concept locked in, but Meghan wanted control. Sources say she pushed to influence the direction and even the final layout. Enninful's reply? A short, firm no. When that didn't fly, she allegedly tried steering the online content instead, but that got shut down too. Their professional relationship cooled faster than anyone expected. Journalist Sam Kashner, who had worked with her before, later summed up his experience with 4 sharp words: manipulated, betrayed, played, orchestrated. Heavy claims from a seasoned reporter. Even during Meghan's guest editing role in British Vogue, what should have been a glamorous collaboration reportedly turned tense fast. Behind the scenes, staffers said she acted less like a guest editor and more like the boss of the entire magazine. On the surface, it was all smiles, but insiders say frustration bubbled quietly underneath. And when it was all over, Enninful reportedly said, "I feel like I've done it and wouldn't necessarily repeat myself." In media talk, that's one clear message: never again. For someone who's worked with the biggest stars on the planet, even hinting he'd pass on a second round says everything. Insiders don't sugarcoat it. When Meghan's involved, it's total control or nothing. And when that grip slips, relationships crack, bridges burn, and doors close fast. It's not just industry folks noticing either. Some Hollywood A-listers have reportedly gone quiet on Meghan and Harry, not out of scandal panic, but smart strategy. These are serious power players, people with royal ties that carry real weight in business, charity, and diplomacy. Publicly standing too close to a couple seen as clashing with Buckingham Palace, that's risky optics, and in elite circles, optics are currency. Access to royal events, global charities, and international influence can make or break reputations. No one gambles that kind of prestige lightly, especially not for two people the palace now keeps at arm's length. Now settled in Montecito, Meghan's every move is under a spotlight. Last year, she skipped Kevin Costner's major charity event to focus on a Netflix promo, but this year she made an appearance. Critics say that shift shows a change in leverage, while Tom Bower calls it something else: urgency. Their Netflix projects haven't landed as big as expected, and their multi-million-dollar Spotify deal, it collapsed in public view. Those Hollywood doors everyone thought would swing wide open, many barely moved. The royal titles were supposed to be their golden ticket, symbols of power, prestige, and instant access, but instead they've become complicated, admired in some circles, questioned in others, and that tension follows them everywhere they go.
Then come the chapters Tom Bower couldn't include in Revenge. He's hinted that some details from Meghan's early years would have caused total chaos if printed. But UK privacy law is no joke. Publish anything unproven and you're facing serious legal fire. Every single page that did make it into the book went through strict legal checks. Every date, every claim, every source verified. Still, Bower has teased that much more remains locked away. He's talked about insider accounts shared off the record, stories from her pre-Harry life that can't legally see daylight, alleged tales of exclusive yacht circles, the powerful Soho House network, and the sleek, carefully curated lifestyle she built long before her Canadian TV break. Those stories exist, but without courtroom-level proof, they stay sealed, tight, hidden from the public for now. Critics keep circling one question: how much of Meghan's story is image and how much is truth? They see what they call a widening gap between her flawless public persona and what insiders claim happens behind the scenes. From domain names locked down before the family even knew the baby's name, to old friendships cut clean, and those 17 disputed claims in that world-shaking Oprah interview. It all forms a timeline that feels more designed than discovered. Even in Hollywood, some professional connections seem to be cooling off fast, leaving insiders wondering what's really next for Meghan and Harry. Whispers keep growing, talks of calculated moves wrapped in emotion that feels real but maybe isn't. Step back for a second and a bigger pattern starts to form. Every headline, every moment, every photo seems to fit neatly into a story critics claim was built to look spontaneous. They see what they call a widening gap between her flawless public persona and what insiders claim happens behind the scenes. From domain names locked down before the family even knew the baby's name, to old friendships cut clean, and those 17 disputed claims in that world-shaking Oprah interview. It all forms a timeline that feels more designed than discovered. Even in Hollywood, some professional connections seem to be cooling off fast, leaving insiders wondering what's really next for Meghan and Harry. Whispers keep growing, talks of calculated moves wrapped in emotion that feels real but maybe isn't. Step back for a second and a bigger pattern starts to form. Every headline, every moment, every photo seems to fit neatly into a story critics claim was built to look spontaneous. They see what they call a widening gap between her flawless public persona and what insiders claim happens behind the scenes. From domain names locked down before the family even knew the baby's name, to old friendships cut clean, and those 17 disputed claims in that world-shaking Oprah interview. It all forms a timeline that feels more designed than discovered. Even in Hollywood, some professional connections seem to be cooling off fast, leaving insiders wondering what's really next for Meghan and Harry. Critics say even Harry's circle has completely changed. Old friends fade out, new handlers step in, until there's only one version of events left, the version Meghan approves. Tom Bower's work doesn't soften the picture. It shows sharp, precise choices layered with timing, ambition, and intent. According to his findings, she's built a narrative machine, one that feeds on attention and emotion, blurring the line between truth and storytelling. And Bower's not done yet. Reports say he's preparing a follow-up, a second wave that could dig even deeper. He's hinted that the chapters once blocked by legal limits might finally surface. If that happens, the next release could explode across global media, reigniting every old question and forcing the world to separate performance from reality.
So, what do you think? Is Meghan's journey one of strength and reinvention, or a perfectly orchestrated plan dressed up as authenticity? Was it heartfelt or mapped out years in advance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you believe. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe for more royal bombshells and untold truths. The next episode might reveal exactly what Bauer's been holding back, because if his hints are right, the next chapter won't just shake headlines, it'll rewrite the entire royal story. See you in the next one.